Hello everybody, it's Pineapple here, back with another video. So today, with the release of the Megatins very recently, I thought it was as good a time as any specifically to talk about Labrynth on a budget, since a bunch of the Labrynth cards just got reprinted, specifically Lady and Ariana, which were two very expensive cards, as well as Daruma Destructive Karma Cannon, just got reprinted, and make the deck significantly cheaper. That, along with Muckraker, make it actually able to be built for a pretty constructed quality at about $110, and, while that's not as cheap as it could be, it definitely is significantly more affordable, down from the probably $300 it would cost you previously to build the deck at a constructed or close to constructed quality. But note that we are missing some key things from this list that do really suck to miss. But I felt that putting them as upgrade options was a little bit safer. And I think this is just, an all-around safer list to put out. But we'll go over, good upgrade options that you can buy on a budget, when you should get them, and the like, as we go over the list. So, with all of that said, let's hop straight into the card by card. First up, we can now afford 2 copies of Lady. The card that was previously a $25 to $30 card is down to a grand whopping total of about $3, thanks to the Megatin reprints. This is really good because Lady is fundamentally the heart and soul of Labrynth, and having an extra copy just to be safe is always really nice, just because you don't want to lose her off of a runic, you don't want to lose her off anything, and subsequently having the backup plan in the event that you lose your first Lady to some unforeseen circumstance is always really strong, just to have the second one that they then have to deal with. Really good. Especially when it's $3 instead of $30, and it's not going to hurt your wallet in the process of hurting your opponent. Lovely. This card was reprinted in the Megatins, but it doesn't matter as much as, say, Lady, just because, you were only playing one Lovely anyways, and additionally, she was only ever a $5 card regardless. That said, the reprint did bring her value down to about $2 to $3, which is, significant since she was about a $5 card, and every penny counts when you're making these budget lists. If you're tight on a budget, it does matter. Another big reprint up next, Ariana. This is probably one of the most significant reprints along with Lady, just because she was about a $15 to $20+ card, and since you now have a normal summon you can afford at the cost of not destroying your wallet, since she's down to about $2 to $3, maybe $4 from the Megatins. I can't remember the exact number, we'll go over it in a little bit, but she's down a significant amount, which is fantastic news, especially for you budget players, since you now have a normal summon worth committing to that won't minus you if it gets impermed or ashed, unlike Ariane. So this is just a significant upgrade that we get consistency-wise and just power-wise. So good. 3 copies of the Furniture of Chandra and Stovey each. Furniture Lab is the superior way to play the deck, there's no doubt. And the good thing about Furniture Lab is the furniture is exceptionally cheap and easy to come by. It did get reprinted in the Megatin, so now it's like actual pennies instead of like a quarter, and that's just really nice. The furniture is fantastic, and I can't express how vital it is to the strategy, the recursion, and just the ability to make links, upgrade your deck as you go later, is so nice. So having the furniture is great. Having it even slightly cheaper, pennies add up quickly. We're happy to see it. Same thing with Flock. This is the heart and soul of the deck because whatever we set off Lady, we want to be online the same turn, and so subsequently Clock is a must play. Just super powerful, enables so many stupid things like D-Barrier and Eradicator turn 0 or turn 1. Just really powerful, really stupid. Dino-Wrestler Pankratops is an exceptionally cheap and powerful card that is really good at going second and is very helpful for Lab specifically because it's a quick effect. Just really good at ripping apart boards. It's Pankratops. I shouldn't have to explain why. It's a very cheap, very powerful staple that budget players, I'm certain, are familiar with just how good this card is. So good. We can now afford Ash Blossom. The rest of the deck is so much cheaper. We can afford structure deck Ash Blossoms that are like $2.75. This is just the cheapest, most generically useful hand trap. While I would like to play Imperm, Imperm is about a $7 card, and subsequently it doesn't really fit within the budget constraints. I didn't set a budget for myself, but I wanted to get it as cheap as possible with, as much just all-around power, and so I landed at the total of 108, and Ash Blossom, is just such a good card. So Ash is fantastic. You're going to use this card a lot. You can probably cite it out, but just so good. 1 copy of the Field Spell. This wasn't helped by the Megatins because it's already a dirt cheap card. It was already like 15 cents. So while it's not helped, this card is really good. Just so good. because it's going to bring back your lovely, it's going to bring back your lady. It basically makes your board pretty much impossible to deal with. As long as you open enough normal traps and engine pieces. Called by the Grave is a 60-cent card that's going to insulate you from Ash Blossom, and is just really sacky and frustrating to play against. Mentally, it's just not a fun card to play against, and I think it's worth putting in just for that reason alone, as well as beating Ash Blossom. Pot of Extravagance is like $1. Thank you, Albaz Structure Deck. We don't care about our extra, except for maybe a couple cards and punishment targets, so Pot of Extravagance is fantastic. Draw 2, really, really, really good. I can't express enough just how powerful Draw 2 is, and subsequently, we're going to play it. Book of Moon is like a 40-cent card that's really, really strong right now. This could be any other really cheap staple, but I think Book of Moon fits very nicely in this deck right now, especially when you want to beat stuff like Pearly. You want to beat decks that, lose to Book of Moon. Kashtira loses to Book of Moon. Just such a powerful, powerful staple, and unlike Eclipse, you can actually clear the board, and they won't get flipped face up in the end phase, and then they'll draw a bunch of cards. So Book of Moon is just fantastic. Great card, dirt cheap card, super good staple. Welcome Labrynth was reprinted again, and subsequently it's like $1 or even cheaper. And subsequently, we want to play as many copies as possible. Normally you'd play 2, but subsequently I couldn't find space for anything else, so better safe than sorry with extra engine. Copies of Big Welcome. We're on 3 copies of Big Welcome. This card was unfortunately hurt by the Megatin reprints because it was not included in them. This is important to note because it was about a $6 card before the Megatins. It was then announced that it would not be reprinted and has subsequently spiked to about a $20 card. Most of our budget goes into this card specifically, which really, really, really sucks. While we have negated the fact that Ariana and Lady are both about $20 plus cards, Big Welcome has taken its place and made the deck almost just so frustrating because it is an expensive card now. Very annoying, but we got to make do with what we can do. So unfortunately, Big Welcome is an expensive card now, but we do have to play it because it does everything for us. We're on a copy of Punishment. It's like a 10-cent card at common, and it's just a really fantastic 2-for-1 removal because you're going to be sending Elder Entity Entis, or you're going to be sending Malong. And subsequently, you're going to be removing 2 things from the field. Just super great card. We don't really have any extra deck things to go into in this list except Muckraker, so you're not losing out on anything in the long run. Just a really solid removal trap, especially when you can't afford extra deck staples. Terrors of the Overroot. This card's fantastic specifically against Cash. Puts a thing on their board and then removes a card by sending it. It's really good against Unchained as well, since you can remove the monsters without destroying them. And it's just all around solid. I'm a big fan of Ice Dragons. It's about a 40-cent card, and it's fantastic against Unchained. It beats rogue decks into the sun. It's a very specific type of removal, non-targeting banish, that you don't find in a lot of places, and I think is necessary to play as a result. It wasn't helped by the Megatins in any way, this Megatin at least, but it is just a significantly powerful card and removal trap that does a very specific thing that we need to do, because we can't afford Underworld Goddess in this list. Epidemic Eradicator Virus is a very, very powerful card. It's going to remove spells, it's going to remove traps, and normally you would play it in the side, but it's a 5-cent card thanks to, the Wildest Survivors reprint. So, we're playing it in the main, because why the hell not? A copy of Dimensional Barrier, beat Branded, beat Sword Soul, beat these weird rogue decks into the sun, beat Monadium. That's what this card says. It says beat dumb, weak strategies from 2022 and previously, like pre-pote decks. That's what this card says. It says beat pre-pote decks that don't have the ability to do different things. It's a really frustrating card that shouldn't exist, so we're playing it. Daruma Destructive Karma Cannon was about a $7 card before these reprints, so it is now about $1. I'm so happy. This card is so good. You will find that you can out just about anything with Daruma. The worst case with Daruma is it buys you a turn. That's what this card says. Worst case scenario, you get to live an extra turn. Best case scenario, you just remove their entire board from the field, make them unable to do anything, and then win the game. Just a fantastic card. Skill Drain. This is the friend of every back row deck when you're on a budget. Skill Drain is not only good for the game itself, not like the game itself, but you as the player, is going to be good for you as the player, but it is going to be good in the mental battle. There are so many times where your opponent will just see a skill drain and just sigh and just be really frustrated. Floodgates are good mentally. They tear your opponent down. and they make them frustrated. So it's $1, play it, especially when you're on a budget. Elder Entity Entis in the extra deck is about a 50-cent card. It's a great punishment target. We're playing 3 because, again, we don't want to lose it to extravagance. Same thing with Mallowing, it just removes things in a different way and is slightly smaller, but it's extra copies in the event that we somehow, accidentally banish all 3 and get really unlucky. That's not likely to happen, but just having extra copies is always really nice. It's also about 5 cents, which is really, really, really good. Nightmare Cerberus and Nightmare Phoenix are fantastic. They're just removal you can go into to get rid of stuff that you don't have a conventional out for, especially with the furniture being as recursive as it is. So having Phoenix is just fantastic to out stuff like Royal Decree. They're also Fiends, which means you can make them under your welcome lock, which is very important. And then lastly, we have Muckraker. This was about a $25 card previously because its only print was a secret rare in Darkwing Blast, but it has been reprinted in these Megatins, which is fantastic because this card is amazing. It's about $2 now. And this card is so good. The amount of times where you stick 2 pieces of furniture together after your opponent wiped your board, pretty much, and then you get to make Muckraker, bring back Lovely, and do it all over again. This card is fantastic. I can't express how good this card is. But with that said, we're going to talk about some side deck cards, some upgrade options that you can get, and how expensive they are right up next. So first up for side deck and upgrade options, we're going to talk about Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and specifically Kaijus. Now, Interrupted Kaiju Slumber specifically is a very, very cheap card. It sits at about 10 to 25 cents just because it was reprinted in the Brothers of Legend or whatever set it was. So it's a very cheap card who's very, very good, specifically because it is a board wipe that enables you to also be pitched off the furniture to add a Kaiju to your hand. Just a really good pitch off the furniture, and it's just so strong for that specific reason. Additionally, the Kaijus are really, really cheap. You can get Radiant for 20 cents, Juicy Kiru for 12 cents. They're all exceptionally cheap. Godarla's like 3 cents. Yeah, of course, Gamma Seal's like $7. Don't get Gamma Seal. It doesn't matter. Humongous is, 15 cents. Dogran, 60 cents. The Kaijus are exceptionally cheap, easily affordable pieces of removal. And Interrupted Kaiju Slumber specifically is a very, very good thing to pitch off the furniture. Acquire these if you're a budget player. We're not including these in the list just because, I want to talk about upgrades that budget players specifically can get very easily. Next up, Anti-Spell Fragrance. Literally a penny because it was a Tactical Masters reprint. This card is so good because it's going to be Harpy's Feather Duster. It's going to be Thrust. It's going to beat all of these really frustrating pieces of removal, these mass removal pieces that aren't named exactly evenly matched. Now, granted, it does lose to evenly match, but that's why we have our good friend Eradicator Epidemic Virus. But most importantly, it is dirt cheap. Judgments can cost you a little bit. They can be like $1 or something, and they don't beat everything in one fell swoop. It also does things like, prevent your opponent from using Branded Fusion. Just a really, really, really powerful card that even constructed lists play, despite the fact that it's a penny. It's just a good card. Next up, Goes and Match. Goes and Match is like $1, $1.50, around there. It's going to stay around there because it's always been that price. But the important thing to note about Goes and Match is it's very format dependent, but you should pick yourself up a copy because we don't care about Goes and Match. There is nothing that we make except Dark Fiends in this deck. So we don't care about Goes and Match. Just really, really strong, really, really good card that you get to play around, and meta relevancy means you should play it. Next up, Lava Golem. Now, Lava Golem is about a $2.50 card usually, which, is significant, but it kind of works like a Kaiju. It's not as good in certain cases because sometimes your opponent leaves you with only one monster to, remove, and you can't Kaiju only one monster when you use Lava Golem. You have to get rid of 2. Additionally, it removes your normal summon, which really sucks. But there are times where Lava Golem is necessary. It's a really powerful card that counters a whole lot of these degenerate board states, and I highly recommend you pick up a couple copies, especially if you're a budget player. The amount of times where you're like, yep, here's the Lava Golem, goodbye to your board. A lot. Dumpster Sword Soul, the game is over. Next up, Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess is not a particularly expensive card. It's about $3. And it outs things like exactly Towers monsters. That's what this card is for. You look at your opponent's monster and you go, dang, do I have an out for this? And you go, oh, yeah, Goddess, and you just Goddess it away. Just super good. It's a Fiend, so you can play it under the Welcome Lock. But that said, Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon also beats Towers Monsters. So you don't necessarily need this card, but I do highly recommend you pick up a copy just because it is just a really good card. It's very satisfying to just count your monsters 1, 2, 3, 4, and then tap your opponent's monster for 5. And then summon this card. It is very, very, very fun. I love this card. It's my favorite card of all time, and I can't suggest that you pick up a copy enough. Next up, we're going to talk about the Bystials. Now, the Bystials did get reprinted. They did not do a good enough job. I'm sorry, Konami, you didn't. Magnemite is still $3, and Druisperm is still a $5 card. The Bystials are really good, specifically because in Labrynth you can put them back in your hand with Big Welcome, and that means that you are at an advantage to use them again. The decks that they beat are like branded and stuff. They will be relevant again at some point. I'm certain of that. They help you beat Dragon Link. They aren't the greatest things in the world in every meta, but I can't recommend that you pick up a copy enough just because of, putting hand traps back in your hand is always very, very powerful. It's just a very powerful effect that you should, want to get, despite the fact that they are expensive. You should want to pick up these cards. Next up, we need to talk about Imperm. Imperm specifically is about $6, $7. It's going to cost you, but it is worth every single penny that you pay for it because it turns Lady on in hand. You can chain it to Lady. It's searchable off of Lady, and most importantly, it's just really good. It is just the best monster effect negation in the game. It can be used offensively to rip boards apart, and it can be used defensively to prevent your opponent from using an effect that you don't want to go through. It is worth the $7 price tag for that reason alone. Next up, we got to talk about the Unchained Links. These cards are really good in Lab. I play them in Lab in my constructed list. They're really good. Unfortunately, right now, they're really expensive because Unchained looks like the best deck of the format. Yama is $14 right now. Rage at its cheapest is $18. These cards are expensive, but they are really good because they enable you to rip apart boards. That's what Unchained does. They enable a lot of recursion, and they enable you to rip boards apart like it's nobody's business and use your extra deck to an unbelievable extent. They're really, really good. They're going to cost you an arm and a leg to get your hands on at this moment. There's also the risk that they might potentially be hit on the ban list. I wouldn't like that. I think Unchained is a cool deck. I don't want it hit. I like playing these cards in Lab. But that's a realistic possibility, so play these at your own risk if you are a budget player. And the big daddy of them all, the card that you want to get your hands on, probably the most, other than Imperm, you should get Imperm first, is Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is a $60 card. And I hate to say this, but you need 3 copies of this card. You need to drop $180 to play this card. That is more than the entire list I had shown you today. But you need 3 copies of this card if you want to play an extravagance version, and the alternative is dropping $40 on Pot of Prosperity if you only want to play 1. And that's probably going to cost you more. But you need this card. If you're unfamiliar with Chaos Angel, you synchro light or dark as the materials, and on summon it banishes a card. It's a Dark Fiend. You can play it under Welcome Lock, and you can play it under Gozen. It's also a 3500 beater. He's unbelievable. This card does everything for the deck. It's a payoff to the furniture. It's unbelievable. It's removal. It rips boards apart, and it does it like nothing else. There's not an alternative. And if you want to play this deck at its best, you're gonna want to have Chaos Angel. It's that simple. Stovey plus Lady or Lovely makes Chaos Angel, and usually when you resolve Chaos Angel, you win. That's the ultimate truth. This card is very integral to this strategy, but it's a $60 card, so including it in a budget list would be stupid. But if you're going to make upgrades after you get Imperms and the like, look at Chaos Angel. That's all I have to say. You got it. You got to get your hands on this card. Now, the total price of this list comes out to $108.15. Note that this doesn't include any single copies of, the side deck or anything. This is just the main deck. But it's a very good starting place for you to look at for Lab. As you can see, Welcome is like $1. Entis is like 75 cents or so. Cerberus, 50 cents. Welcome still $1. Malong, 5 cents. Really great card. Phoenix, like a quarter. Skill Drain is like less than $1. Welcome, still like $1. Book of Moon, 50 cents. Really, really good cards. Phoenix, 50 cents for 2 copies. Called by the Grave, 60 cents. D-Barrier, 15 cents. Extrav, $1. Punishment, 50 cents. Skill Drain, $2 because, you know, I optimalized on accident and then I lost all my stuff. Skill Drain, still $1. Ariana is $2 now. $2. This card was $20 like a week ago. Can you believe that? Ash Blossom, $3. We're playing hand traps now. Daruma, still like $4. Again, this card is optimalized. It's worth like $1. Pankratops, 18 cents. Ice Dragons, $1. Lady, $3.50. Extrav, again, Lovely's $1. Big Welcome, unfortunately, is $17, and that really hurts this video. Eradicator, like 15 cents. Serb, 15 cents. Chandra, 10 cents. Clock, 10 cents. Stovey, 10 cents. Muckraker, $1.50 now. Can you believe it? This card was $25 a week and a half ago. Terrace, 10 cents. Entis again, like $1.50. $20 for Big Welcome, which was $6 a week and a half ago. Really sucks this card didn't get reprinted. 22 cents for Welcome Homes. This deck is so much cheaper than it used to be. It's not cheap yet, but it's getting there. And I hope you guys get to play this deck in paper because there's nothing like playing this deck in paper. I adore this deck. I want more people to be able to afford to play this deck. And I'm so happy it got some of the reprints it needs, but it still needs a lot more. Please go away. Reprint Infinite Impermanence more. Reprint stuff like Chaos Angel. These cards are too new to be reprinted, but if you want to, go nuts. I want more people to enjoy this deck. But please reprint Chaos Angel so that we can all play Fern Lab in peace. But that said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It was a fun experiment for me to put together this list and try to make it as good as possible. And we're very, very close to constructed quality. The big things we're missing are like Chaos Angel and like extra deck things that do matter, but not to the extent that they are going to consistently cost you games. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next one.